Hey, what's up guys, Rackals here. Today I wanted to tell the story of how I almost cheesed my way onto the Hypixel Quakecraft leaderboard without actually having enough stats to be on it. So as many of you probably already know, I actually am currently on the leaderboard. I'm sitting at position number 6 overall, and that's probably not going to change anytime soon. And I initially got on the leaderboards back at the very end of last year. It was one of my goals that I wanted to complete for the year, which I did achieve. And technically speaking, I still didn't get onto it until even later on than that, but I'm not going to get into it. So Quakecraft has actually had this bug for a long time now, where if you leave a game before it ends, absolutely none of your stats will count. Even if you're on the brink of winning, say at 24 kills, and you left, those 24 kills would just disappear into the wind forever. But that's just on your quote-unquote actual stats. It actually is technically being tracked properly, but only through the achievement points counter. There are 7 different categories of tiered achievements for Quake, but the only 4 that are relevant to this video are kills, kill streaks, headshots, and wins, since those are the ones I was missing. So because your stats don't track properly, but they do track to the achievement points counter, it's actually extremely common for there to be a discrepancy between these two values. But what's probably not as common to have is a discrepancy of nearly 60,000 kills at the time of recording this, alongside about 5,000 headshots and 5,000 kill streaks. So flashback to November of last year, I was either 11th or 12th overall back then, and I no longer have the exact metric, but I would estimate probably around 40 to 50,000 kills missing in that range. And it just so happened that getting 40 to 50,000 kills would put me onto the leaderboards. In fact, it would have put me at 9th or 8th, not even just 10th. Back then I was working full-time doing a construction job. I had a lot of time to think, obviously, and eventually I sort of came to the conclusion that it's kind of just BS that I've accumulated all these kills and they don't count towards anything, especially when it's because of a glitch. So on November 14th, I decided to submit a support ticket. Unfortunately, since then Hypixel has completely redesigned their support website, and because of that I can no longer find the original conversation, but I do still have the team's replies to me because they are sent to me by email as well. But essentially the initial support ticket pretty much just repeated what I've already said in this video. I'm missing all of these kills, kill streaks, headshots, and wins, and I would like to have them added back to my account, since I think it's unfair that I'm, missing such a large amount of kills, among other stats. Now already that's a pretty cheesy thing to do, to try to contact support to get them to give you kills, but I actually went even a little bit cheesier than that, and I basically said that it was a glitch that only occurred in teams mode, so I would like to have the kills given to me in teams specifically, because obviously the team's kills and the solo kills are tracked separately, and if I were to get all those 40,000 kills onto my team stats instead of solo, that would have also put me onto the team's leaderboard, because there's obviously separate leaderboards for solo and teams as well. And I don't play nearly as much teams as I do solo. I'm still not really that close to the leaderboard for teams, in fact, whereas I am on the leaderboard for solo kills, which is why I figured why not just get on both leaderboards, and when I knew I was about to get onto the solo leaderboards anyway. Basically, I'm just trying to scumbag my way into being on all 3 leaderboards, the overall, the solo, and the teams. Whatever. I'll get on the teams leaderboard one day. It just might take a long time. So the day I submitted it on the 14th, basically I just got a confirmation email saying that it might take a while because of COVID, but they will get back to me. A few days went by and I sort of just figured that they would ignore it or just say no, like submit a bug report or something. And finally, about 5 days later, I was checking my phone while I was on break at work, and I saw that it had come in. An email message reading, "Thank you for contacting the Hypixel support. The issue should be resolved now. Please log into the Hypixel server and check if everything is correct." And I was freaking out. I'm not gonna lie. That was like the first break of the day too. I remember I had to spend the rest of the day just like looking forward to coming home and just like logging on and instantly just getting leaderboards. So yeah, I grinded through the rest of the day, probably like the best work I did that entire time I was at that job site. Finally got home after a long day's work, logged on to Hypixel, and nothing. But I actually expected that, because in my mind I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna have to play like 1 or 2 games and then it'll update for me. So I did. I played a teams game and it did not update. So I was like, okay, well, maybe they just added it to solo, because the coding for Quake is a little bit scuffed. They probably just couldn't figure it out. So I played a solo game, and it did not update. So I was just like, bruh, like, what do you mean it's fixed? It's literally not fixed. And I went to go check my achievement points, kills as well, and that was also still the same. So my stats had not changed at all in any game mode, in any achievement points or actual statistics tracker. So I send them back a message and say that it's not fixed. And then another 3 or 4 days later, they get back to me a second time saying this: we have taken a look at the situation more in depth, and sadly, this is not something that can be fixed by us manually. And then they just linked the bug reports section of the forums, which I actually also went on to report there as well. They said they'd look into it and nothing ever happened, so I guess I'm just forever cursed to be missing a ton of kills, which really sucks. I think the funniest part about all of this is that even if it did work the first time when they said they fixed it, my stats would have been so unbelievably busted because I didn't ask them to, you know, fill in for any deaths or anything like that, which means I just would have obtained a free 50,000 kills with 0 deaths to go along with it. My kill death ratio would have been absolutely insane. It also would have probably messed up some other stats like my headshot ratio and my kill to win and all that. So in the long run, maybe it's a good thing that it didn't get fixed, but I don't know. If any admins are watching this, please fix it. So yeah, I guess that's the story of how I almost cheesed my way onto the leaderboards. Ironically, it didn't really take that much longer to legitimately get on the leaderboards anyway, because I happened to be playing a fair decent amount at that time. I think it would have probably been a lot funnier if I cheesed my way onto it and I was still, say, like half a year away from getting on the leaderboards. But obviously it still would have been nice to get it. And if there's one thing that all this taught me, it's that apparently my morals are a tiny bit shaky. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, and of course, leave a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Rackals, and peace.